when it comes to the trolling, to the cancel culture, and so forth. Cyberbullying again, right? All of this is very connected. You can't really talk about one without talking about the other. And again, 83% of you said you've been cyberbullied at some point, right? Just to get, so that we're all on the same page, cyberbullying, right? Use of electronic communication to bully and so forth, and using intimidating or language that is threatening in nature. And you'll see that this terminology, again, right, intimidating, threatening in nature, is reoccurring in everything that we're talking about. Even it can even happen in cancel culture, especially at the individual level. It happens in trolling, it happens in cyberbullying, right? But then my question is, then have we gone too far with cancel culture? And please feel free to respond in the chat.
I feel like there have been a number of new proposed cancel culture individuals and companies, even just in the last couple of weeks. I'm not up to speed with Bachelor or The Bachelorette, but I've seen some related news articles that looks like they're trying to cancel, I believe, the host. If you guys have feedback, please throw that in the chat here. What are some most recent ones that come to mind that would be a good example?
Oh yeah, I mean, you bring up Chris Hansen, I believe that's his name, the host of the Bachelor and Bachelorette series. Mm-hmm. And yes, he is currently experiencing some backlash over some comments he said. I think one of the contestants attended some, forget what it's some event mm-hmm. in the South that's connected to slavery, and he didn't necessarily defend her, but he didn't also say anything against it, right? And he said something about, I am not the woke police. And so that got people all fired up. And so I believe he is suspended from hosting the mm-hmm. show for a few episodes or something to that effect. But yes, now there's a call to cancel him and possibly the show.
Interesting.
I think I read the poll wrong. I'm sorry, Lindsay. That it showed that the majority have not been cyberbullied. Okay, I did not read that right. I apologize. Neil says we've definitely gone too far. Alex Hartman, I think the issue with cancel culture is not allowing people to correct their mistakes. Many individuals get canceled, but do not have an opportunity to redeem themselves. And Lindsay, not only has it gone too far, we're often guilty of canceling some celebrities, certain things, and letting other people get by with the same actions. And that is true. Who gets a pass and who doesn't get a pass, and who gets to decide that, right? Mm-hmm. And when I say have we gone too far, and I think someone mentions this in the chat, is that, oh, okay, there've been a lot lately. Ellen has been canceled, and Morgan Wallen is someone who came up recently. Yeah, a lot of people have been canceled, right? And we're so quick to cancel, and in some cases, deservedly so, right? But mm-hmm. also, does everyone deserve to be canceled? Is the question, because cancel culture has also created a toxic environment on digital platforms, right? We see instances where people show up to these individuals' homes, their families are being threatened, they've lost their jobs. We see situations where, it affects more than just the person, but it affects the person deeply. I'm not saying that whatever that person is right and they should escape with no consequences, right? Of course, if you have done something wrong, the consequences to not acting right or mm-hmm. not, however, what should those consequences be? And is there a chance for you to right the wrong? So my next question would be, is it possible to keep people accountable without canceling them? And what does that look like?
You guys have any thoughts? You can drop those in the chat.
Yes, if you have any thoughts about what that
And, Dr. Ngondo, I think Alex brought up an interesting point. Actually, there's been a number of interesting examples. When you think about it, you have some celebrities like Justin Timberlake, for example, who's being something that happened to him that he was a part of with Britney Spears and Janet Jackson, and how he handled those at a much earlier time in his life. And now that those have resurfaced, there's a kind of a cancel culture movement there. And how does that compare to someone who's, I don't want to say behaved badly, but as their discretions are more recent and they should be held accountable to things that they're doing today? How are you seeing things that are happening in the past coming back up, and people that are doing things recently? What do you think the difference between that is as far as cancel culture goes?
It almost seems to me that even cancel culture doesn't seem to have a statute of limitations. I mean, we saw this even during the Me Too movement, right, where all these past issues and so forth have happened, and they have come back, have come to light. And so those individuals were dealt with accordingly in terms of whether, they were canceled or whatever it was that happened. And things that even happen today. So I don't think there's necessarily a statute of limitations when it comes to being held accountable for what you did, right? So, but it almost seems that all crimes are judged equally, right? Either you're canceled or you're not, regardless of what it is that you did, right? Whether you were a sexual predator or whether you said something that was out of line in haste.
Yeah. So Aiden just brought up a really great point. He said, I think we need to do a better job at punishing patterns of behavior over individual instances. This is all, context considered. If someone does anything obviously illegal, they should face the consequences. But I'm curious what you think about that.
Yes, we should punish patterns of behavior. But then what happens if I do something in the moment, but it's something so terrible? So, for example, the incident in New York between the woman who, there was a gentleman, a Black gentleman, who asked her, hey, could you please put your dog on a leash, right? Your dog is destroying the bird sanctuary and so forth. And she, in the video, she picks up her phone, and in the video she's heard saying, I am going to call the cops. I want them to come here. And she knows exactly what she's doing, because she knows typically what happens when a law enforcement shows up in that type of scenario. So for her, right, when somebody is being outright a terrible person versus, and that was that one incident that we know, right? Should we then treat her differently versus somebody who has a pattern of behavior, of bad behavior? I think it should all just be dealt with, but then depending on the severity of your, I keep wanting to call them crimes, but depending on the severity of your actions, right? This is how we should really determine what level of canceling you shall receive. But yeah, can we keep you accountable without canceling them? I think if there's a change, right, in your behavior, if we can see that you have acknowledged the error of your ways, you're taking the steps, it's beyond just issuing an apology and saying, oh, I did this and this. Yeah, but what are you doing moving forward for us to see that you are truly sorry for what you've done, and so that, again, you're not a victim of cancel culture?
I would be curious to see what you think, but more importantly, for those that are here tonight, how many people do you think are not engaging or not participating, interacting on social media because they are afraid of ramifications, because they're afraid of the trolls, because they're afraid of cyberbullying, because they're afraid that they could do something today that in 10, 15, 20 plus years from now could come back to cause some kind of cancel culture for them?
I mean, I don't know exactly how many people, but I'm sure there's a significant amount of people who, who don't engage on social media for those very reasons. But I also think that it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing. I think if you have to stop and reflect, right, what exactly are you trying to do or say that has you so worried about your future self, right? Maybe that's what you need to stop and to think about. Because for the most part, if you are, being a decent human being, then I don't think you should really be sitting there ruminating on, oh my gosh, how could this come and bite me back? How could this come back and bite me in the future?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think for the most part, what it has done is make people maybe stop and think about what they're doing, which is a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then for those who are not stopping to think, who are not stopping and bothering to think about what they're saying or doing, then they should realize that there will be consequences of just running your mouth and being either, cyberbullying people, or either being a troll or whatever it is. I think there's a way to put your idea across without trying to get a reaction out of people, right? A negative reaction out of people. It's okay for us to disagree on an issue,
Right.
but there are ways to disagree in a civil manner. But some people, again, the trolls, they're just out there to get a reaction from you.